States of America with a pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the agenda shows me that Kim Erdly is first up today, so if you would, Kim. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Inserts from me to go over. We have two different ones. The first one that I wanted to address with you is an increase for the current deputy that I have. She is currently below the Comet 2 base salary, which is what I'm requesting to have her brought up to, equivalent to some of the deputies in the clerk's office and the auditor's office, based off of the information that the job description that was on file for her, or for that deputy position, was clear back in 2009. We started our cyclical reassessment through the state of Indiana back in 2013. That cyclical reassessment has added a lot of responsibilities to that deputy position, along with the fact that it is an elected office. Also the fact that we're the only elected office, maybe aside from the Sheriff's Department, that has to hold state certifications. So based upon that additional information, and to be equivalent with where some of the other elected offices deputies are, that comes back to $1,649 additional appropriation to bring her up to the Comet 2 base pay. And she is paid, her salary does come out of the reassessment fund. She's not paid out of the general. So that's where those additional funds would come from for her salary.
Kim, has she been through this new evaluation person's firm?
No, not yet.
No, and I actually never even got to finish with Mr. Frizzell. I never even got to turn in a job description to him. I revised those based off of her duties and then the chief deputy duties, and I handed those to George. So he does have a current job description that's been revised.
It just isn't back yet. He's reviewing it at this point?
Yeah.
And you provided that information to him that she provided to you?
Yes, yeah.
She has to get a certification.
She's had hers. She's had hers, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And basically the big thing here is that in 2009 they weren't required to be level 1 and level 2, and now they've got the state requirements.
Yeah.
So is this, I guess I don't understand what you're saying as far as the state requirements. Is this the same as probation officers' fee, that what they should be paid is set by the state?
No, what this is their certification has been changed, that they didn't have to be certified before. Now they have to have, there are 3 levels of certification, and they have to have, as a chief deputy they have to, or as a deputy they have to have level 1 and level 2 certifications, where they didn't in 2009 when that job description, the original job description was made. So that's the only change. Well, there are some changes, but the major change is the certification required.
George, you had mentioned last month that with this new firm, they've been pretty slow in getting things done.
Yes.
So what would you anticipate would be a time limit when they would get back on this particular position?
I've asked him to, by March 1st, that we have everything to us so that we can bring it to the council and you can have that before your meeting at least. The only ones that I've got right now, I've got 2. I've got the Jody Hollenbaugh's position, and I've also got the dispatch supervisor, Janelle. And to be honest about it, I wasn't real impressed with what he did. The swing, he gave me a minimum, minimum maximum for that position, and then a base, which would be, or a median salary. Median was right around 40 for one of them. The low was 30, the high was 50. I mean, it was a $20,000 swing, and for me, I could have got a dartboard and probably done a little bit better than that. So I haven't been impressed yet. We're looking at actually talking to Kent Irwin from Woody, Irwin, Shealy, Whitty, because I'm just not sure that we need to spend any more money on this. We've got to really take a look at this. We'll get what he's got right now, and between the two of us, two of the councils, we can go through and decide what we want to do.
We're not committed on a long-term contract.
No.
How much, you say this would be paid out of your reassessment fund?
Yeah, her salary is
How
paid
much,
out.
what's the balance in that?
Jenna gave it to me here quite a while ago. It's big. I want to say, I don't want to put numbers to it. I think it's under $1 million, but it's maybe not too far from being shy of that, but I can't say for sure.
Why, if there's that much in there, then why can't your office be paid out of that, which that would relieve some of the problem we're having with the general fund balance? Is there a possibility that your whole office could be paid out of that?
Actually, the only salary that comes totally from the general fund is the chief deputy salary. The assessor's salary is split between the reassessment fund and the general fund. Not sure the reasoning for that, but that, coming into this and this whole transition with Rita retiring and looking at everything, I'm not sure why it's that way, and why her whole entire salary doesn't come out of the general. I can't explain that. It's just the way it's been paid. And then, obviously, the deputy position that Tammy holds comes totally from the reassessment fund.
I think the reason it was that way is because I think when we had the opportunity to put part of it over in that, we did that to relieve the general fund. But I'm not certain that we could take all years out of reassessment.
Yeah, I don't know if there's something there that states that an elected official's salary is to be paid out of the general, or at least part of it. I honestly don't know that. George, are you aware?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know either, but I
We
know
should
that
look into it.
that's
Yeah,
what
sure.
shifted it was to get it into that fund, which has got a lot more money than it needs to have, doesn't it?
Yeah. I know there's I did ask Jana, and I want to say she gave me around 700 and some thousand, but don't quote me on that. I think.
837,000.
Okay.
And they have to pay Schultz Brothers out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are making some plans to try and get more up to date with what we're doing reassessment-wise as well, so that we're not printing 20-some thousand property record cards, and Dan is printing a section map for every section in the county when they have to go out and do the field work. So we're looking into some more modern technology to eliminate some of that. We're going to have a couple presentations coming in. So that money is there, and we've got the means to bring some things up to date and get a little bit more current with the way things can be done. So we're looking into some things for that right now.
I think at budget time, it'd be prudent for us to look at, to see if there's some operating expenses that could be shifted over into this too.
Sure.
Your request for $1,649, is that a request, that amount of money would cover the pay increase you're asking for a year?
That would be for the year.
So you're requesting $1,649 to give the pay raise to that position that it would need for an entire year.
Yeah, that would bring her.
So we're talking about a very minimal amount, really. I mean, I'm not minimizing what she deserves to make or what that position deserves to make, but
Yeah, that would bring her up
I want to make sure I
to,
understood.
from where she is right now. She's at the base for the Comet 3, referring back to that job, that schedule. That would bring her up to the base at the Comet 2, in line with the other deputies from a couple of the other elected offices.
I don't see any reason not to do that. I'd move that we allow that pay increase to come out of the second fund, the assessment fund.
Is that you making that in the motion,
Yeah.
or in the form of a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I do have a motion. I would call for a second.
George, when you asked Mark Frizzle that March 1st deadline, was he agreeable to that?
Yes.
He felt that he could have that accomplished?
He thought he'd have it earlier, but he had some personal issues. I didn't get into that with.
I favor this, but the only hesitation I have is when we get done with our meeting today, we will have appointed people to the new personnel committee. I mean, we don't have one in place, but you probably took care of your appointments yesterday, didn't you, or not?
We did the
Time before?
Yeah.
And we will today. And like I say, I support this, but I'm wondering if it might not be proper to just table it for 30 days till the personnel committee has a chance to make a recommendation, which I would assume they would approve something like this with her certification and everything, but it just seems to me like we're just kind of maybe a month early on. We can make it retroactive or whatever, back to whenever, but I'm just wondering if to follow the procedures that we've set in place, that if it wouldn't be proper to maybe, you'll have your report by the 1st of March, and hopefully the personnel committee would maybe have a recommendation, then we'd be doing things like we said we wanted to do. So, like I say, we can always make it retroactive back to wherever and take care of it. And, it's a minimal amount. We probably should just approve it, but I just wonder if we shouldn't just stay according to what we've agreed to the proper channels to go through to do these things. And if we prove it right today, then we're doing what we said we weren't going to do.
But we've done. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I think this particular case is kind of a no-brainer. But
It is.
Postpone it to.
Well, I agree with it, too. I support it, too, but I'd rather wait, because I've made comments sitting here before that I think we ought to wait on our pay raises until we had a chance to get something new in place. And we are going to get the personnel committee, it's going to restructure a little bit, so I'm in favor of waiting.
Well, we put somebody else on. Last month we addressed some, and we didn't do anything with them. We kind of tabled it till we get these reports back, and I just think that we've set a precedent that we probably ought to stay with. Like I say, I support it, and I'd be willing to make it retroactive even back some.
I concur with you, Jim, myself.
Okay, I do have a motion.
Can I comment briefly? I will say the one difference with this position versus some of the other elected deputy positions is that this person had to obtain a level 1 and a level 2 certification, which she has done since 2014.
2014. 2013.
So she has much more requirements per state recommendations than some of the other positions. So she obtained that. We just didn't change the job description to reflect that that was changed from a recommendation to a requirement. So just keep that in discussion, that she's now required to have a both level 1 and level 2.
Well, if this gets a second, I'm going to support it.
Can I ask a question, please? Referring back to the council meeting on the September 6, 2017 meeting, and it's noted in here, and Vicki and I spoke about this, when they voted to rescind the 2002-10 that was put into effect prior to, and then council will make the decisions on increases until another system is put into place, and they will follow the wage scale. Is this not referring back to the wage scale that we have, where the base pays and the comment level 1, 2, and 3 and all those are broken out? Is that not what that's referring to?
That pay scale and that evaluation system was eliminated. So proper.
We're back to square one with something
We
new.
don't have a system in place at this point.
What wage scale is this referring to in the minutes? Then I'm not understanding what that means. So that
I guess I wouldn't be clear on that either. I don't remember.
That's kind of what we abandoned. In this particular case, she has got her certifications on her own, didn't she?
No, she was required, you're required, if you're going to be
Yeah.
a deputy in the assessor's office, it is a state requirement.
Whatever schooling she had to do on her own, didn't she?
Well, the county would take care, there's no charge to that. The DLGF takes care of that. So, yeah. Upon their, their request to have those certifications. So at what point, you're to hear back from Mr. Frizzell March 1,
Before March 1st.
before March 1st?
And I support what you're asking for also, and I think that, and I would be fully in favor of it being, Jim said, that it being a retroactive set back to the point of when you're asking for it. I have no problem with that. But
What-
I'd like to be consistent in what we've shared with other people, and how we've moved and waiting for this report to come back and then looking at that and looking at them, especially since we expect it very soon.
What will take place as of March 1, or when they hear from him? What actually is going to, how is all this going to be addressed at that
That's a
time?
process that has yet to be determined because of the fact that the Personnel Committee has not been reset yet this year. We plan, it is on the agenda to reset that committee today, and then that committee is going to meet, gather the information from the new assessments, disseminate the information, and decide on how we're going to move forward. So I can't answer that, I
Okay.
guess is what I'm telling you, until we put that committee back together.
Okay.
So you're saying that probably at the March meeting, we would address this very same thing again then, with the reports having been...
Depending on when we get the information, I doubt very much that we're going to be prepared to have an answer in the March meeting. It may
If they
be-
get back to us.
This committee will have to meet with it.
You say you'd have that before March 1st, so we look at it
By March 1st.
by March 1st.
So
It's not going to give us a lot of time.
You don't think the committee will meet prior to March anyway?
Unless we've got the information, I'm not sure, unless we just try to figure out what our structure is. I guess that would be something.
I hope that the committee would meet by then, but if we don't have that information, then
Well, that's what I was getting at, was
To provide
get
to
the
that
cart
committee.
before the horse there. If we
Even if we can just get the ones that we have issues with right now, if we can get through those, it might be the best thing. We've got, with the sheriff's department, with the assessor's office, make sure that we go through those would be our first priorities. And maybe that's the best way to go. Make that on the agenda for the personnel.
For clarification, since you said that the report might not be as good as you were hoping, as of March 1st, if we get this report back and it doesn't really tell us what we need to know, will this decision still be made if we have to then go with Irwin and start all over again in the process? Or will she have to wait until Irwin comes in and then push out the requirements?
well, since George is sitting right here, I'm certainly not going to speak for him, but I don't think that I don't think that it wasn't what you had hoped for. It's just not as accurate as you expected. The information that we gather from them, since we've paid for it, is going to be utilized in some way, shape, or form. But if what we are not happy with at this point is the timeliness and the timeliness of the information. We've not had a chance to review all the information, so we don't know. We haven't had a chance to evaluate it. We're just not happy with the timeliness and that they've gotten it back to us, so we don't have a lot of confidence in them and all the things.
And once the information gets to us, we'll have to make sure that we get with them to understand exactly what their process is with that min max, to make sure that we understand the same thing that they do, and then we can bring it to personnel.
In the meanwhile, can you find out what she's allowed to pay out of that reassessment fund and what she can't pay out of that.
That's a good one, Kim, because if possible, we'll shift it all over.
Yeah.
If we can.
Then that would be,
And also, along with that, I think that we need to have a number on what is, knowing that we have 837,000 in that, what do we want to keep as a minimum? I mean, we don't spend that all the way down to zero, so what would be a good minimum to say that we shouldn't really go below? And I'm sure that you can give some feedback on that.
As far as what can be paid out of that?
No, it's, all right, well, a combination of what can be paid out of that and out of that 839,000, it's my recommendation that we don't dip below 200,000.
That you keep for a working balance.
Well,
Or whatever
I
that number
mean,
would
yeah,
be.
because we, our contract alone with Accurate Assessments is pretty large.
And those are the type of things when we start determining what else we can use that money for, because it is getting up there, that we make sure we take those things into consideration when we're making those decisions, so we don't go below that amount, so.
Yeah, and I would have to check with the state on that, because, typically that was designed for the assessor's office reassessment fund. I mean, and that's been years back that was established in every county.
And there may be such a thing that you can't use that for other things either.
I'd hate to find out we can, since we are.
Just an acquisition.
Okay, I will call again then, I have a motion, I will either call, Bill, you had mentioned that you were possibly open for change, so I would either call it this time for a second or for you to withdraw your motion.
I'll withdraw it, as long as when we do this, which I'm sure we'll do, we backdate it to what she's asking for.
And I don't think that, I'll speak for myself, I don't have any problem with that, I think that would be very appropriate.
I'm in favor of that as well.
I'm in favor of it.
Me too.
Okay, so when the Personnel Committee is designed then, and they start looking over what's been presented in the report that's been done, that's going to be given to the county, back to the county, will the Personnel Committee have control to start going through these recommendations and these job descriptions without the department heads to have to come back in front of council? Are they going to look at these and they're going to approve, have the authority to approve these requests? Or at what point are we to know that it is time for us to come back in front of you to readdress these issues? Or is the Personnel Committee just going to look at these and say, you know what, this is what we need to do and this is what needs to be done. We're going to go ahead and refactor according to whatever foundation they have.
There's a lot of variables there. The number one variable, even though we haven't put the Personnel Committee in place, we need to do that. So to give you an answer right now without even knowing who's on the Personnel Committee or having gathered that information yet, I can't answer those questions. When that is put together and the Personnel Committee has been established, keep in mind that it is only, the Personnel Committee will only look at it, review it, and make recommendations. And then it is the council's position to make any decisions based upon that.
I understand that. I just didn't know if they would
Well,
present
let me
back
finish,
to
I'm sorry.
you.
But when we get that information, we don't have any idea what it's going to say. It could come back that every position in Whitley County is being grossly underpaid, or every position in Whitley County is being grossly overpaid. So until the Personnel Committee is able to get that information and look at it, I can't answer that question for you. I can answer the question that, or I can reassure you that in favor of everybody here, that when it is reassessed, when it is taken care of, that we're all in favor of that being retroactive because of what she
Okay.
presented to us today and the certifications that that position has worked to attain for that job title.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that would be fair. So that's the best answer I can give you, I think.
Could she have this on the agenda next month in the event that it's
Yeah,
ready to go?
That's kind of what I'm getting at,
Yeah.
is when are we to know, or myself to know, at what time do I come back? I guess that's my main question.
I think if you, you could certainly put yourself on the agenda for next month. I would be surprised if it's ready by then, but you could, in order to keep from just putting yourself on the agenda
Yeah.
for each month, whether it's relevant or not, I think that either talking with myself or George and keeping in touch with us, we could tell you exactly when would be the
Okay.
appropriate time for you to come back. Is that fair?
Yes. One thing I'd like to add, Mr. Chairman, the Personnel Committee will be working with the department heads, so that's what, I think you're asking that too. is-
Yeah.
Yeah, that it'll be in conjunction with the department heads.
Okay, all right,
Just change the date on it and bring it back.
okay, thank you.
There's a question on it.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just make a comment, it might be valuable to let department heads understand that March the 1st is a Thursday, just prior to the next council meeting, so it's unlikely the personnel committee will complete this review before next month's meeting.
Yeah, though.
And I think that's an accurate statement. Maybe I didn't make myself clear on, is that it might be just because, and quite honestly, we expected the information from them by now. So when he gave us the deadline of March 1st, that's part of our frustration. That's the biggest part of our frustration with this process, is that it doesn't seem that we're getting things when they're promised to us. So we don't even know if that's an accurate.
Second week of January was when we were originally supposed to have it, and now we're another month.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. I have another item.
Oh, okay,
as well.
great, yeah.
And do you have copies for this one?
Well,
I want to make sure.
Future appropriation, additional.
No additional appropriation on this one. This one's for a temporary deputy position in the assessor's office. You don't have, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I will be hiring another deputy February 12th. And what I'm requesting is to have a temporary deputy position created for the assessor's office. She's going to take over as chief deputy as soon as she receives her proper state certifications, her level 1 and her level 2, which she is registered to take classes for. So at the time, and there will be no additional appropriation here, not requesting any money at all. I had talked with Jana about this prior to her leave, and then in with talking with Vicki on how to properly handle this. We really need to have, or I'm asking for your approval, to have a temporary position for a deputy created in the assessor's office so that we can bring her in as a deputy, which she currently is in the auditor's office, and then we are allowed to use the salary for the chief deputy position and then bring that over to the temporary deputy position for her to be paid only temporarily until she receives her state certifications, and then at that time the temporary deputy position can be dissolved.
The funds, that's already in your budget.
The funds from that's already in the, yes, it's already in the budget. It's the actual, would come from the actual chief deputy's salary, which comes out of the general.
Sorry, but I don't understand how it wouldn't cost us additional money. Can you explain it again, please?
Because the salary is already there and been budgeted for the chief deputy salary.
So we have somebody that it was budgeted for that's not working for us right now?
We do not have the chief deputy position. When I took over and was voted in by caucus, I held that chief deputy position. Rita retired at the end of the year. The caucus was held. I took over office January 1, and we no longer have that chief deputy position filled. So I had to hire someone to fill that position. So she's coming in as a regular deputy, not holding those state certifications. Once she receives them, then she can be appointed the chief deputy and then start receiving the chief deputy's salary.
So when that takes place, then when she comes in, then she's there full time, then the other one could be eliminated.
Yes,
the
exactly.
part-time
It's just
or
a matter of
temporary.
managing the deputy position is what it is, and talking with Vicki and how that really needs to be handled as far as what we really should do to make sure that it's done properly with that whole transition and the flow of it.
Do we need a salary ordinance for this temporary position or not?
No, because I'm not asking for money for that temporary deputy position. The salary to be paid there will come from the chief deputy's salary.
It's already been approved in the budget.
Yes.
It's already in our budget.
But she'll make, this temporary position will pay less than the deputy position, the full deputy position. Are you going?
The chief deputy position?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, she would not be, yes, once she receives her certifications, then she'd start receiving the chief deputy salary.
And that's when you would dissolve the temporary
Correct.
position.
Yeah.
Do we need to track that with you, or will you have to us when that happens?
I can come back to you when that happens. She is scheduled February 23rd to take her level 1 exam in Warsaw, and she's scheduled March 16th to take the level 2 in Indy. You know immediately, you know they grade them that day. You take the exam that day, and then they grade them right in front of you, so she'll know, and I don't anticipate her having any problems.
I'd make a motion that we approve this temporary position.
We'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none at this time, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please respond by raising your right hand. And opposed, the same. And it will be noted that it was passed 6-0.
All right. Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Todd Geiger. Todd here? Is anybody here for Todd? Okay, we will pass that on the agenda. We'll move forward to Nathan Bilger, please.
Good morning. You should, I think, have a couple appointment sheets, basically appointment forms for the Redevelopment Commission. The Redevelopment Commission is comprised of 5 voting members, 3 of whom are appointed by the commissioners, 2 of whom are appointed by the council. They serve 1-year terms, but they also serve until their successors are appointed. Looking back, we couldn't determine the last time a formal appointment was done, so this is kind of a housekeeping issue, just to reappoint everybody and bring things back up to date. So because they serve until a successor is appointed, there's no crucial need to have this be done, but again, it's more housekeeping than anything. The council, I believe, appointed Kim to the RDC at the beginning of the year, and then Jim Augerbright was the other council appointment as well. So again, the forms are kind of formality to bring things together.
That's right, there's 2, because one of them's for Jim Augerbright. Very good. Okay, so you've got those forms ready for us?
Yep.
Thank you. Are you going to fill in the dates, or you want me to do that?
You're going down to Florida. Warsaw.
Okay, those are being signed, and that's done. Nathan, did you have anything else for us?
Nope, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Come on.
I don't know if I was supposed to sign it or not. Do you have to wait until it's done or not? Should I sign
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Let's see, I just...
Next item on the agenda is the council and with the Personnel Committee.
But if they do, they put a lens in your eye.
In my discussion with George and, I think with just George, I don't know, I think we talked with the other commissioners also, we feel that, or I feel, we came to the conclusion that the Personnel Committee, and what we're looking for in the Personnel Committee is elected officials from council and along with a commissioner's position, and then adding the auditor to that position, correct? And that's how we're going to proceed to form that committee with a 5-person committee. And they will evaluate not only the systems or the changes that we've got come forward, but take care of other issues that come up with the personnel committee. I know different people have served on the personnel committee last year. We kind of set that one off to the side, so at this time, Kim, you were on the personnel committee. Do you wish to stay on that?
I do.
And I think John was on it and I was on it. I would like to stay on it. Is there anybody else that has interest in the council as far as being on the personnel committee?
Yeah, I'd like to sit on it.
So Chad would like to sit on it. Is there anybody else that would have interest in being on the personnel committee?
Over 3, you're going to have a quorum. So,
Right.
yeah, okay.
Well, I'm just leaving the option open to everybody that
So
would
that we
have
can
interest.
go through a process of elimination or something.
Well, at this time, then, I will appoint myself, Kim, and Chad. Kim will to the Personnel Committee. George, can you share with me who you would designate from the commissioners to be on that committee?
I will be the appointment for that.
Okay, and then we will add Jana Schimbeckler to that committee also to form the committee with that.
Who's the commissioner appoint?
George.
And who are the other members of that now, George? Yeah.
That's going to be it. We're just going to do the commissioner
okay.
appointment.
Just going to be 5.
Yeah. Not what, 9 before or something like that?
Yeah. Way too many.
Okay, moving forward then, we updated Umbaugh form of agreement. And would you care to expand on what this is and why we have an updated agreement?
George, you probably had one of these every year, haven't you? This is the first time I've ever seen
Yeah,
one.
me too. That's the first time
First time I've ever seen
Is that
one.
right?
We never had it. We just called him.
Yeah.
Has everybody had a chance to read through it? And
I
is
read
there any
through it.
questions about it?
Well, I glanced through it. I just I was amazed. I'm not sure where that one paragraph's at, but it talks about addresses. Looked to me like it was addressing the fact that they take everybody's personal write-up of their job description and all that, and I thought, what? Did I misread something in here?
I think those are the capabilities that they have, and we can pick and choose from that what we use Umbaugh for.
I see.
I was happy to see that the fee schedule, that they give you different rates for different people, and, you know, depending on the issue, I suppose we could probably sometimes not have to use a principal partner.
That's right.
George, in reviewing it, did you have any concerns with it?
No. And we had council look at that also. There was no concern.
So, having not dealt with this and looking for guidance, is this something that we accept as a council by motion? Or is this just information that's presented to us for our...
I think it probably should be by motion.
I think it's a good thing to have a contract with them rather than hit and miss like we've done in the past.
Well, I have a call for a motion on how the council would like to proceed.
Is that a one-year contract, George?
I'll move that we accept it or approve it.
I do have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll say.
A motion and second. I'll call for any further discussion.
I'd be in favor of it as long as it's a one-year contract.
And we've determined that that is the case.
Yeah, and it's one that we can pick and choose from. I think this is part of that tightening down on security and
Yeah, we're not committing to any
yeah.
expenditures with it. approved in this
No,
this
more
contract.
information for us than anything, to be honest.
Is this our idea or theirs?
There's probably something that the state has come up with.
Well, we've always used them for a long time.
Yeah.
You always use Todd Todd always does the work for us usually.
Todd does, and we've got another couple of gentlemen that we use, and Paige Pasancione that we used for the console the one time, and there are probably just about 3 to 4 of them that we use out of their company, but they all do a great job.
Todd's the high price.
I have a motion and a second. I would begin a call for further discussion. Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor of accepting the motion, approving the motion, please respond by raising your right hand. And opposed, the same, and I will note that it passed 6-0. And that brings us to the Commissioner report.
Okay, just a few things. We did get a request from Region 3A to the Commissioners to appoint Board of Directors appointee, and I did meet with Tom Wall from Region 3 and Matt Brinkman from Region 3A to, they were saying that even if we didn't put the money into the $13,000 into the Region 3A, that they'd like us to attend the meetings. But as commissioners, we didn't think that that was proper, that we do something like that. We weren't supporting Region 3A, so appointing a member, we decided to not appoint anybody to Region 3A. But I did want to let you know that. Any questions on that at all? We did get on our, what I'm going to request, the commissioners have talked about the $250,000 loan that we still have. We now have in our trust account $322,000. The loan, that medical loan, is $250,000. Well, we're requesting that you approve that we take $150,000 out of the trust fund that's building up, $100,000 out of seed it. We were going to take $150,000, flip that, but with everything building up in the trust fund, we might as well use that and pay that trust account off. So I'm asking approval for that if we would.
You might want to tell the new members what that's from.
The health insurance trust account we're self-funded. So we put so much money into that trust account to take care of, we pay through our insurance, the first $60,000 Whitley County has to pay. And then after $60,000, the insurance pays up to a point of like $600,000, and then there's another level that we have to pay a little bit more, but it's still, we're insured after $60,000. So as long as our employees are healthy and not using the trust fund, that trust fund starts to build up. And in the years before, what we did was, before we had this loan, when that would build up, we would take the money that builds up in the trust fund and we pay the payments. And so that really helps us out. In the long run, at the end of the year, we have money left in our trust fund or in the health line item. But right now, if we could get this taken care of, get that health loan out of the way, and then we can use the rest of the money to pay for the loan or the
The health loan is, we had an employee spouse that run an extremely high bill that we had that the insurance didn't pay, and we had to borrow money to pay the doctor bill and the hospital bill.
But since then, too, we've purchased a catastrophe policy.
Yes.
That would cover us for that type of situation.
Yeah. We pay approximately $24,000 a year for that policy.
Well, I can't remember what this total bill was, but I know it's
$635,000.
It's been paid down to what the balance is now.
This is the third year.
Would you like that as just an informal approval, or would you call for a vote?
If you just give us approval to do that.
Is there anybody that's against it? You have our approval.
One thing I will tell you that also that your next meeting will bring our seated program for your approval also, so that you get the 2018 approval for that, and that'll be part of that since you've approved this, but,
Are you asking for the whole thing to be approved? Your seated plan?
no, not until.
Just that portion of it?
Right now, but the seated plan will be presented to you the next
Okay.
meeting. The whole plan will be presented to you for your approval, and what I'd like to do is, once we get it approved, then we don't have to come back to the council after that, if it's approved the one time and we don't change anything, that we're
You're
able
asking
to.
for the whole seated plan to be approved?
Yes,
Next month.
yeah.
I don't know if I'd be in favor of that, George.
Can I ask why?
Well, because we have to appropriate the money for it, and things have changed. We've seen that happen in seated plan, where, you may have a set dollar figure that you're looking at, but then something happens that you either decrease it or increase it. So I'd rather it be approved as we go along, so we know. I just feel that, I think when it comes close to time that we can, look at it and see whether you've changed it or what we need to do.
If they change it, they have to come back to us.
Yeah, if there are any changes at all as far as, major changes, we always come to the council for that. We have to have approval for that. Or if it's not a line item that we're going to take it out of a different account or something, we will do
So what
that.
we would essentially be approving is what you present to us next month. And if we have an issue with any of those items as far as how you plan on spending them, then we would.
Right, at that
At
point.
that time.
But what you're
Yeah.
asking is, once we approve it,
Yeah,
that it's approved.
that we'll be able to.
And unless you make any changes to it.
It's like Council on Aging, we've got Troy Center, different things like that are set. The majority of those anymore are set. That loan that we have for the radios at the Sheriff's Department dispatch, that's $81,916 every year. I mean, it's just, there are so many different things that we have in that program anymore that's just, they're set cost.
We approved something at the last meeting to come out of seated, if you guys had to change it for that.
That was for the upgrade to the radios,
Right.
to the
And
sheriff's
we recommended-
radios.
We didn't exactly pass that at the last meeting until we heard from you.
I know I'm getting off topic a little bit. City with the water project, is that what?
No, that comes from redevelopment.
That come out of redevelopment?
Mhm.
With the pool?
Oh, the pool, no, that will be seated. That will be on that program.
We've always
Yes.
approved it,
Yes.
Each one as they come.
each one as
That's
they
what
come.
we've done in the past.
Yeah, I appreciate
We
that.
got into it once with Don.
We got into it once before when we approved it all.
No, I just want to make you aware that
I don't,
that
I
will be
just, I'm
done.
not in favor of it.
And I'll make sure I get that to you beforehand, at least a week to 2 weeks ahead of time for you. The only other thing I have is the jail issue with the overcrowding. We've asked for a 90-day extension from the state to present a plan for what we're going to do. We've got a meeting this month with the jail task force, and we're trying to narrow things down a little bit as to what our position is and where we're going to go with this. With the state changing laws all the time, it's difficult. It really is. We've got DJ Sigler is now the chairman of the committee. He's involved in it totally. So between DJ and the judges, we've got a lot of information that we need on that. Plus, we had thankfully you approved the Elevatus to do a survey for us, an assessment survey. So we're working, those are all coming together, and hopefully we can get a plan, and I'd let you know what our plan is.
Did you get the extension?
Yes, we got a 90-day extension to May 1st,
How many years is left on the bond on this building?
6 years.
6 years? When the paint was hardly dry on the wall over there at that jail, and we've heard from the state that they've threatened to close. They're not going to close that jail.
No.
And for me, I think this is a can that needs to be kicked down the street as much as possible till this thing's paid for. We didn't build this building till that jail bond was paid, and I'd hate to see the county have another bond, or two of them at the same time. And I just think that's something that, yeah, you're going to have to do some things along the way to keep them interested down there, but I think it's a can that needs to be just kind of kicked on down the street a little bit till this thing's paid for, before you think about going into a bond situation.
Didn't we have a discussion about maybe accelerating the payment on this building?
I'll tell you, it'd be hard to do with, yeah, we just don't have that kind of surplus at the end of the year to do that.
I think the way we've done things before, I don't know, maybe didn't do it here, but we did at the jail. There's been times that we wrote a new bond, because it had a lesser interest rate or something, but I don't think we're in that position now I don't think these bond rates are going to be where you can do things
No, we did
like
that about 4 or 5 years ago.
On this building?
Yeah. Because the rates are so great right now, or they had been great.
You got any idea what the balance is in this building?
Boy, Bill, I really don't know right now. Yeah.
Okay, anything else, George?
That's all I have.
At this time, I would ask if everybody had a chance to read and review the minutes from last month's meeting, and if so, are there any additions or corrections?
I move that we accept them as written.
Call for a second.
No, second.
A motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, please respond by raising your right hand. And opposed, the same. And it will be noted that it passed 6-0. Councilman Overdeer, do you have anything else? Councilman Damon? Councilman LaRue?
No, thank you.
Councilman Wheeler? No. Councilman Banks?
No, sir.
And I have nothing else. At this time, I would call, is there any information or anything to be brought forward for the good of the cause from anybody in the room? Hearing nothing, the meeting is adjourned.
Before you leave today, I want to talk to you.
The appointments come back this way. You were quick too. The appointments down there still, Bill? Are you looking?
We are going to have some added cost here with the jail situation that we've got right now, but
Yeah, so